So now that you know these needs, I want you to start to think of someone in your life, someone that you know well, and you could probably categorize as like, you know what, this drives them. They're constantly worried about finances. They want to be certain everything is okay. This is my mom, certainty driven. Or the way that they tell jokes is self-elevating. They're constantly trying to be better than other people. They're hyper-competitive. They're significance-driven. Think of someone in your life for this. The value of this model comes when you're speaking to that person and you're trying to lead them in a direction of your vision, but you need to speak their language. And what you're going to do is the mindset here is that you want to show them, one, how doing what you are talking about is going to get them what they want. So I told you about how I talked about growth when I went to Brazil, right? Speaking to my mother in terms of how much growth is there is not a good idea. I need to speak about how this plan is actually more certain to make sure that everybody is safe and comfortable and okay than the other plan. And this is really the other part, that you have to show them how just sticking the course, doing it their way, doing the status quo is going to take away that thing that they really value. They're not going to be certain. They're not going to feel significant if they just do the status quo. And typically you want to do things in that order. First, well, actually you want to do the reverse. You want to hurt them first, and then you want to show them the way out. This doesn't sound nice, but the truth is, if you think of all the times in your life where you've made a big change, you were in pain. There was a moment where things were unbearable and you said, you know what, I cannot keep doing it the way that it is. I had to really hate my job to get out. People who lose weight, I know stories, they've had to have horrible things said to them in order to get out. I'm not advising that you bully, that you pick on. But sometimes, when Ben was coaching, for instance, he had a woman who was very overweight and she knew it was an issue. She was trying to get through it and nothing was working. He helped her take 70 pounds off and keep it off, but what he had to do was make her cry. He had to help her realize that it's not about, being more fit and slim. He found that the thing for her was certainty, and she wanted to be certain that she was a good mother. And so he said, do you think you're going to be there for your kids at this rate? And they looked at photos of what fat does to the inside of your body. And she said, can you imagine what it's going to be like when your kids are there without you, wishing that you just would have taken better care of yourself? And I mean, she broke down and she cried. It's an uncomfortable experience, but guess what? That's the impetus that she needed to get moving. Not every time is going to be this dramatic, but guess what? People do need a moment of discomfort when they're going to change long-held habits. If it's not a long-held habit, a little pinprick is often enough. So now that we understand this, how can we begin to apply this? I'll just give you a couple of examples. So somebody asked me about a band that they were in, and they're like, we got all these different people, and in this group, there's a ton of different things. We got a certainty, we got a significance. How do I speak to them? Well, first off, you want to, when you're in a group, hit individual needs. And if you're not certain what the needs are, speak to all of them at a high level. In this case, people wanted to do different songs for different reasons. The guitarist, hyper significance driven, very, very guitaristy, right? So he needs to speak to him in a way that is going to make him feel special. So just brainstorm. How could you make a guitarist in a band feel special? He wants to play this particular Metallica song. You don't talk about playing Metallica or that song. You hit the need. And you go, you know what, man? There's this Guns N' Roses song that has this incredible guitar solo. I mean, it's mind-bending. It's super freaking hard, but people love it. Right? All of a sudden, it's not important that we do Metallica anymore. He's got to do this new ridiculously awesome solo that's going to put him center stage. Okay, there's somebody else though. They're tired of doing the same old genre of music. They've been doing, say, heavy metal or whatever you want to call it, 80s rock for a long time, and they don't want to do Guns N' Roses or whatever. So you go to him and you say, look, man, he's the drummer. The drum line on this is actually really different. Like these other ones are in whatever key signature. This one's got this. This solo is so different from anything that we've done. I actually feel like this is tonally very different. If he's variety driven and you can make a good case for it, that's going to speak to him. And then the last guy, say he's the keyboardist or whatever, he's certainty driven. And you say, you know what, man, this is a classic, man. People love this song. Like they absolutely want to hear this song all the time. It's the most popular song that I've heard in any sort of karaoke scenario, right? So I think this one is great. If you hit them all on their things, they will want to move in a direction that you show them gets their need. Whereas first they might have all wanted 3 different songs. If you drive down to the reasons they want them and then show them that they can get what they want better with your way. And even better, you can actually, with a guitarist, if you're going to be really, really strongly persuasive, you would say, I actually think this guitar solo is even harder than the song that you mentioned. Like, that one's kind of standard, right? Is that going to twist his significance button and get him to need to show you, right? If you speak to these values and you talk about how not doing it the way that you have proposed is going to take these values away and move them farther from the person, and how doing it will drive them towards it, you can begin to create a cohesive, unified group that, while they might have different values and different needs, are all getting what they need from doing the same mission. And that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Not only that, they will love you for giving them what they want. What they want is not to play the song. What they want is to feel a feeling. And if you can deliver that feeling and show them how they can access it, what they can see in any particular situation in order to get it, it's going to go a long way. So let's take this back. I've mentioned it now a couple times. My mom is certainty driven. I'm going to Brazil. It's a dangerous country. It's like all this scary stuff. It's really not that dangerous, but in her mind, it's dangerous. How can I speak to comfort and certainty for her, keeping in mind what we said? I just want to let you think for a second beforehand. What would you say to her? Starting with the fact that I'm going to need to make it hurt, right? We're talking about why my brother, who is younger than me, should drop out of college and move to this far-flung country, and how that's actually going to give her more comfort and more certainty. So you don't necessarily know the situation, but what I can tell you is that I eventually did. I said, look, my brother is at college at Temple University. He's getting not great grades. He's doing, B's and C's. When he graduates, what I am certain of, and you can use these words, I'm certain that he's not going to have good job prospects. This is the worst economy that we've ever had. This is several years back. He's a B or a C student coming out a degree that took him 5 years to complete at this point. He's going to guaranteed have no prospects. I mean, this is a surefire, right? This is a surefire guaranteed way to not wind up in a good situation. Versus, if you look at his whole life, my friends have been higher academic achievers, right? We were the nerds, he was the athlete. So if he comes and hangs out with my friends like he used to when he was little, actually what's definitely going to happen is it'll rub off on him again like it did when he was little. He wants to be part of this. You see, he's hanging out with these guys, like they're just smoking weed, they're not doing good stuff. He comes and hangs out with us in Brazil. He's actually going to become someone who can get a job. He's going to learn these skills. He's going to come back and he will be able to work in an industry. Now, he, of course, never went back to industry. He stayed and did his own thing. But speaking to the certainty, and in terms of what we're going to do, I mean, we can come home at any time. It's a plane ride away, right? Speak to these certain things. First, I was like, the certain area, if he stays here, is bad. So I want you to get that certainty in this current status quo is certainty of pain. And then what I want you to see is if he comes, it's not as uncertain as it felt for you. There's things that we can do to make you feel more secure. We can call, we can fly back, we can do all this kinds of stuff. We can check in. Speaking to that and not necessarily speaking to growth like I spoke to everybody else was ultimately much more compelling to my mom, and was why she ultimately gave my brother her blessing to move to Brazil with us. And he became number 6 or something when we did this. In any event, think about this in your own life. Speak other people's languages. It's not the particular goal that they're so attached to. It's the need and the emotion they expect to get. So if you can show them how doing it your way is going to get them what they want while avoiding the negative they didn't realize they were careening towards, you have an insane amount of persuasive ability, and you really become a leader that can build a diverse group of people around a unified cause.